I just wanted to give you a little bit of introduction of what we do at Payr and how we work at Payr first. I'm not going to be the main act today. It's going to be Lars Henrik and Galen, who has the most interesting stuff, and I'm sure that's why you're here. But I wanted to give you a little bit of background. At Payr, since we started, we've always focused on building products that people want. For the first 6 months, we didn't even know what we were going to build. We knew that we wanted to get involved in payments. There was the new PSD2 EU payments directive. And we had a lot of ideas, and we went out on the streets and we tested them and got them validated, or they failed, and we did this iteratively for about 6 months before we came up with WhatPay, the main strategy for what Payr is today. So I'll give you a short introduction to Payr for those of you who don't know Payr. Another value or important thing for us is that we want to create value before we ask for a return, or before we charge, and that's been kind of the basis for the business model that we set up, is that we only charge, in our case, businesses when we create value for them, not as a upfront fee or as a membership-based solution. And we think that's easier to sell because there's no risk for customers. But the other thing is that we think it's a more tidy and clear business model as well. And that's something we try to follow when we are continually developing Payr, is that we try to do a value-based approach. The last thing I want to mention is that we really try to get away from the assumption-based startup environment, where you start with some ideas and then you test it on yourself basically, and then you just run with it. So one thing that's been our mantra almost for the entire time is don't assume, use science. If someone has a good idea, we always say, well, have you actually validated? Who did you check with? Did you check with yourself? Well, in that case, it doesn't really matter. And I think now also with the partnership that we're engaging in with SciML and Gail Buckwalter, and the data science team that we've established at Payr, we more than ever kind of are living by that belief. So those are just some kind of background values that we have. To give you a little bit of an idea of what Payr is, we started out with two problems that we came to when we did all this user testing. One, people never re-evaluate or renegotiate their service providers after they go into a subscription or a membership. Very few do. 75% about of the market never re-evaluate the providers unless there's a big thing that happens in their lives, say they move house or get married, for instance. On the other hand, for businesses, it's very difficult and expensive to target the right customers and get long-term loyal customers. So at Payr, we're trying to tackle both those problems. We've started with launching an app for invoice payments about a year ago. It's a bit faster, a bit easier than most online banks. And this is really our customer acquisition channel. We gave it away for free and say, come on, let's use it. We wanted to prove to the market that we could build a banking infrastructure. And it had, an invoice scanner, so that you didn't have to type paper invoices. You could pay with credit cards, so you could use the credit that you already have. You can aggregate bonus points if you want. All this, but there was no revenue model behind it. we just wanted to get it out to the market and start testing. But then we started asking people, can we analyze the data the payments that you're making? And then when we also integrated e-faktura, or electronic invoicing, we started getting a lot of very interesting information. So about half the people that use our app, they have opted in and said yes, that we can analyze their invoices. And what we do then is that we scan the market, and then we give them and see if we find better suited service providers from the invoices that the people pay. And if we find that, we give them an offer and say, hey, you can switch to this provider. And this is really the kind of the core of the business model, is that you have people, if they like the intelligent suggestions that we give them, and they switch to those providers, then there's a commission or a kickback, if you will. This has been live for about 6 months now, and during that period, we realized that the offers, when we generated them, even if we sat there and did it manually and maybe spent, well, 10, 15, 20 minutes custom writing that offer, saying here's a better suited provider and here's why, people found that it was they thought it was generic offers, and although many liked them, it was too time consuming for us to do this manual. We're never intended to do manual for a long time, but for us a kind of iterative development process, that's what we did. And so we found two things: why it takes too long time to create the offers, and second, people don't feel like they're personalized. So we started researching and saw what is being done in the field of psychometrics and personality mapping to get better or more personalized offers. And this is what we've been developing now. That's what we've been working on with Dr. Gail Buckwalter, and which Lars Henrik also will explain a lot more about, is how we're now trying to understand the users from a personalities perspective, so that we're now combining not just price comparison, but also asking the user, what are your actual preferences? That could be, for instance, do you prefer low price or a environmentally friendly product? That could be a question that we might ask. And so we've together with SciML and Dr. Gail, we have devised a personality test that we're introducing this autumn, or before winter at least, where we're going to ask people what is about their personality traits, and try to find your personality to also help you or get better targeted or better personalized suggestions to the offers that we're generating. So we're already set up a prototype, so you can test it afterwards. You can go through and do a questionnaire of six questions, and we'll instantly give you say to you what your personality is. So you can test it, see if it fits. In terms of our business model, it is really this to kind of acquire customers and then gather the data and then use that data to give intelligent suggestions back. We're not selling the data, we're not distributing it in any way. It's the consumer's data, and you can anytime turn off the analysis and then we immediately wipe all the data. It is to try and help you as a consumer get either confirmation that you have the right providers, or that we can suggest someone that fits better for you. When we give the offers and the user switch, that's how we make a sale. So for the next two speakers, Lars Henrik is going to talk about the OCR scanner and the invoice analyzer, where kind of how we're capturing the data and using artificial intelligence and how we go about that. And then once we have collected that data, and we also ask for the personality and then how we use that personality to give more personalized suggestions. So for us, just want to say, I mean, we're still a new company, we're a startup, we've been doing this for 2.5 years, we've had about 80,000 downloads today, about 20,000 people use us on a monthly basis. We've had about 400 million Norwegian kroner paid in invoices with the app. And where we go from here is, well, we basically built a product for 2 years. And we're at the last phase of that. That's what we're rolling out this autumn. And then we will move into, as soon as we see that this fit and this is something that the market wants, we will start scaling up, and our plans to go abroad, starting with Sweden and Denmark, and then further out in Europe. So I think I'm not going to say a lot more. It's natural for me now to hand the word over to Lars Henrik. So I think this is where the interesting stuff starts.
Before we hand over to Lars Henrik, a big applause for